It appears that CM Punk made a very quiet return to wrestling just a few days ago. The MKE Wrestling promotion, which is run by Silas Young from Ring of Honor, they run their shows out of Wisconsin. They had a show Friday night at the Knights of Columbus in West Allis, their final time ever in that building, a building that apparently has a lot of history. A lot of people over the years have wrestled matches inside that building, and this was the final show. Now, CM Punk was in Milwaukee. He was at the MMA Academy there, the MMA gym where he trains or has trained in the past. He even took a photo with somebody while he was in town that was posted on Instagram. And he was wearing a particular hoodie that apparently is not a hoodie you could just walk into a store and buy. So people noted he's wearing this hoodie. And by the way, West Allis is apparently near Milwaukee. It's maybe a 15-minute car ride. So, yeah, he was in town. Punk was in town. Now, there was video that was posted on social media. If you watch the video clip, it's from the end of this particular match on the show. And if you watch the video, during the main event, Dave Prazak, he's the one who brings this masked guy in a hoodie, which happens to be the same exact hoodie Punk was seen wearing in that photo. He's the person who brings this masked man out from the back. Prazak's been friends with Punk for years, as has Ace Steel, who's one of the men who trained CM Punk, who I believe was in the ring. And the masked man hits a GTS and then was very quickly ushered to the back. And apparently right out the back door, out of the building, and was not seen again. And the next morning, Silas tweeted out, "Last night we held MKE Wrestling in the Knights of Columbus building in West Allis. Place was packed with 350 people. This place has had 25 plus years of wrestling and is the place that a lot of guys got their start. Guys like Colt Cabana, as well as a Punk who showed up in a mask last night." Now, let's assume that it was him. I don't know for sure. The guy was in a fucking mask. How do I know? But let's assume that it was him. It probably was. It probably was. I know Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful, Robbie Fox over at Barstool Sports both chimed in and said that this would not be the first time that Punk has done something like this since leaving WWE. That is, showing up at an independent show, unannounced, under a mask. And it just feels bizarrely right that CM Punk's return to wrestling, for all the people who were clamoring over it for years, who still chant this guy's name at shows, it would be bizarrely right for him to have made his return to wrestling at random indie shows under a mask or in some sort of costume without anybody even knowing, in front of 200 people, 500 people. It reminds me of CP Monk and Colt Cabunny from Chikara all those years ago. I love it. You know, it's Easter weekend. Punk should have come out dressed up as the Easter Bunny. Should have been an Easter Bunny costume, handing out Z-Packs to all the little kids. But, you know, if there is a masked wrestler in AEW now, you know that it's going to be nonstop speculation that it's CM Punk under the mask. So what they need to do is this. AEW finally gets going. They're going to supposedly have a 2-hour primetime show starting in the fall. Okay, let's say they do. Once things really get going, they got to have a masked character with whoever. It doesn't even matter who's underneath, right? They should have a similar body type, but it almost doesn't even matter. You have a masked character. Person doesn't speak. Maybe he's even part of a faction or a group or something. Let a year go by. 6 months, a year. Let people think it might be Punk. Drop little hints, maybe. Maybe he even busts out a GTS or a move that Punk would do every now and then. But again, nobody says anything. Nobody admits to anything. He doesn't speak. Then, you sign Punk. Because you know they're still going to be going after. You know they would love to sign CM Punk to get him into AEW. And I think for the right amount of money, Punk is no different than anybody else. Yeah, he'd come back. I don't think he'd work for Vince McMahon. But to work with his buddies over there, I think for the right amount of money, you can lure him back. And let's say they do. They sign him to a deal. They're going to bring him into AEW. And then, after they debut him, people realize, well, he wasn't the masked man after all. Then the masked guy finally reveals himself to be Dean Ambrose, who beats the fuck out of CM Punk. Maybe they have like a little signing ceremony in the ring. However they want to do it. But he beats the piss out of Punk, and we've got a Punk Ambrose program in AEW. It's just a thought. People can think, hey, Dean Ambrose, we haven't seen him in a while. Maybe he's just taking time off from wrestling to enjoy life. He leaves WWE. We don't hear from him for 6 months or a year. He's loving life. He's living his life. Pondering his next move. Or maybe some people think, he's going to end up back in WWE. I'm shocked he didn't go to AEW. I'm shocked he didn't go to Ring of Honor. Maybe he's just going to end up back in WWE soon. And this entire time, this fucker was wrestling under a mask because that just sounds like the sort of thing Dean Ambrose just might want to do. He's a weird guy.